Hello. Since we've been talking on here, I wanted to make sure I was fully transparent on what my first cancer was because you're going to hear me call it cancer. But if you actually Google the term desmoid or aggressive fibromatosis, you're going to find a lot of things, and a lot of things are going to say it's not cancer. This is a disagreement that a lot of people who have desmoids have. I think different doctors take different opinions. I think most doctors probably say it's not cancer, although I think most doctors don't understand desmoids. Desmoids happen in 3 out of a million people. It's super rare. And, it's a tumor and it has tentacles and it reaches out. And it's highly recurrent and it's highly invasive. It is a type of sarcoma, which I think anytime anybody hears sarcoma, they go, oh, that's cancer. But then somehow this has gotten into not cancer territory as well because it is benign. And so let's talk about what benign means. I think what people hear when they say benign is not cancer and metastasize is cancer. Well, what metastasize means is that it spreads, and what benign means is it doesn't spread. And so the desmoids, as far as we know, stay localized. But that doesn't mean that people aren't dying from these tumors. It doesn't mean that people aren't having their lives wrecked, that are not in insane amounts of pain because of these tumors. When I was first diagnosed with the desmoid, I was told that it's not cancer. And so I told everybody it's not cancer. And I started going to Stanford and I started going to the cancer center where my oncologist was, and had to get chemotherapy and radiation. And I'm like, and it was interesting because I was talking with my therapist once I started having panic attacks, and I kept saying, well, I didn't have cancer. And she's like, can you explain that to me? But where were you getting treated, and who was treating you? The cancer doctor was treating you, and you have ongoing cancer doctor appointments for the rest of your life. And it was something that I had to come upon in therapy to come to terms with the fact that I had cancer. So then when people start saying, is it cancer, is it not cancer, and they say it's not, I tend to get defensive. You could say I only had one cancer if you want to. That's not my lived reality. I was in the chemotherapy ward. Every person that I shared a room with had cancer, and I have had friends with desmoids that I have made over the years who have died, and you're not going to convince me that it's not cancer. I think that once we get more information about this and there's more things out there and it's actually spent money to study, which who knows if we ever get to that point because it's so rare, so people aren't really spending money to find the answer to this. But, it was very real lived experience for me. And after years of therapy and, I'm 18 years past and I still have my oncologist and I still go to the cancer center at Stanford and I still get monitored for this thing after all these years because it is so highly recurrent. I mean, I believe the number is 70% recurrence rate, and I did have recurrence. I had it removed, and 7 weeks later, the 5 centimeter space that was, where the tumor was removed was filled back up with a 5 centimeter tumor. It is cancer in my mind, but I don't want to ever feel like I am trying to dupe anyone here. But, just to give me some street cred, I did officially get thyroid cancer, so that was real. So I guess I still have some credibility to talk about cancer, even if you disagree with my position that a desmoid is cancer. So I just wanted to be upfront about that. I never wanted that to come back and bite me in the butt that she says she's a 2-time cancer survivor. You know, it took a long time for me to even use the survivor word. It's a word that I didn't feel comfortable with. You know, I always felt that other people's journeys, you know, they were possibly going to lose their lives. And with the desmoid, at the time, I thought, you know, I might lose my arm. At the time, I wasn't coming to terms with the reason why they wanted me to do chemotherapy so urgently is because it was so close to my spine. And at the time, I didn't have any desmoid people that I knew that had died from their desmoid. And all those things, you know, affect a person, and they've gotten me to realize that everybody's cancer journey is different, but it's not negated, right? If someone finds a bit of cancer in their breast and it's like stage 0 or stage 1 and they get it removed and all they need is a lumpectomy and maybe some follow-up treatment, that doesn't mean that it doesn't count, right? And so, I mean, we got to stop laying people's cancer as like ranking it in importance, and you know, hopefully all of our chances of survivability keep increasing and we get to a point where it's not a big deal. But yeah, there's certain ones that feel like, you know, lung cancer doubles very quickly, and you know, it's going to be more aggressive than some other cancers. But it's just hard to rank whether somebody's cancer. You know, when someone has skin cancer removed from their face, we think about it as no big deal, and it's probably still concerning for the person who's going through it. You know, it's probably still always on their mind. But that's different than, you know, having to go through chemotherapy. And it's just, I don't know, there's no great answer for it. But I didn't ever want to feel like I was being dishonest and not telling you that, hey, maybe in your mind I'm only a 1-time cancer survivor, and that's cool. I'm actually not here to get anyone's validation that I did or didn't have cancer. What I'm here for is to make people who's going through their journey feel, 1, less alone, and 2, hopefully learn some things from my videos so that they can avoid some things that might make their journey worse. And really, that's what I'm here for. Help you get more control, help you make you feel less alone, and hopefully help the process so that things go smoother than if you didn't know how to have cancer. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks.